Let's speed the clip up. You see I've got it hugged to this campsite as close as possible. Probably should have had the trailer a little further forward so I could execute that turn a little closer to the post. See, I'm starting to get a gap between the north side of the campsite and the trailer, but not too terrible. Backing in on the driver's side, so I've got good visibility. I've got my spotter, which is my son filming this. I wasn't quite happy with where it was lining up, so I pulled forward a little bit just to correct the angle. Using the bottom of the steering wheel turned in the direction I want the trailer to go. Still not quite happy with where it was, so tried to cut it over just ever so slightly more. And then backed it into place.
So this next little tip, or a couple of tips, is a no-brainer for anybody that's a veteran camper. But if you're new to the hobby, just a couple of all, get yourself a good quality 30 amp extension, and try not to let it get all tangled up like this one. But I paid, I think, $80 on Amazon for this. It's a 50-foot 30 amp extension. I've got 2 of them. And the other thing is, don't always trust the power outlet at your campsite. You can get power stations with surge protectors and way more high tech. This, at the very least, is a circuit analyzer. So 2 yellow lights means correct wiring, and you can see the codes for all of the other issues. Now, I'm not an electrician, but I have been to another provincial park where the wiring was messed up and it fried the control board on our hot water heater. So you plug this in first. If there's anything other than good wiring, then definitely speak to the park staff, because they don't want to start blowing things in your rig when you're hooking up to shore power. So this is a Camco one. It's got a little bit of surge protection in it. It's certainly not as powerful as some of the other ones. It's painted in Steel Me yellow. But not too expensive, 20-30 bucks I think for this. So now I know the power's good. I'm gonna get the camper all hooked up because it is muggy and we need the AC on here. So first evening, this is our 3rd trip of the season, and we were able to get here, thankfully, because our tow vehicle has now been upgraded, and the drive went really well. The van performed very well, pretty fuel efficient, 16 liters per 100 kilometers, which is pretty good. No major handling issues. The weight distribution hitch worked beautifully. And as you can see behind me, the sun is peeking out, so lots of storms in the area, but pretty dry here right now. A lot of gnats, though. My goodness, not mosquitoes, but those little tiny little midgy gnat things that fly in your face. Might even get a sunset here tonight. It's supposed to be a bit rainy tomorrow, and then be nicer on Tuesday. So let me flip things around. So just doing some chicken burgers on the barbecue. Probably going to have a campfire a little bit later, but this is a site we haven't stayed in before. Nice and close to the power pedestal there. You saw that earlier. Lots of room for multiple vehicles. And yeah, nice little site. Sorry about the noise of the kids. They too are happy to be camping. So, all right, let's settle in for a nice evening.
It's actually pretty warm once you're in it.
Yeah.
So the weather on our first full day camping wasn't the best, so we decided to branch out and go somewhere different, and we drove nearly 40 minutes, or 30 minutes according to this map, north to the town of Kincardine. I wasn't really sure what to expect, another town on the shores of Lake Huron, but the downtown's actually pretty cute. Lots of nice little restaurants and stores. Definitely somewhere I'd like to go back and go for more of a stroll in the downtown to check things out when we have a little bit more time. But quite a nice little community. Beautiful this time of year, not super busy. And after doing a little bit of exploring in and around the town, we eventually made our way down to the marina. Very nice marina with lots of beautiful sailboats there. We checked that out a little bit later, a nice little lighthouse. And of course, eventually made our way down to the beach.
And it's for sale. There you go. We can buy ourselves a boat. So many boats. So when you buy your overpriced onion sack of wood from the provincial park, you can get hardwood like this, and sometimes it's maple, sometimes it's birch. The birch is a little better because it dries out quicker. With the birch bark it burns more easily. But if you get maple, the running joke is that they store this stuff in the lake because it's usually very wet, and you'll often see campers buying this $9–10 bag of wood, big chunks like this here, and nothing but smoke. Well, what do? Well, you buy kindling. Well, kindling is like $7 or $8 a bag. So what I'm suggesting is don't buy the kindling, buy the hardwood if you're going to follow the rules, and get yourself a really good splitting axe. This is a Fiskars X11. This is a smaller 5-pound splitting axe, and let me show you what's so special about it. Very, very sharp, top quality, but it's got some nice little flares on the blade there, and it's super, super sharp. And you don't have to be a Paul Bunyan swinging this mega axe to be able to split something like that into manageable pieces. So what I do is I don't bother buying any kindling. I buy my hardwood, and then I split it into smaller pieces using the axe. Now the other thing that helps is a chopping block. This is actually a piece of old telephone pole that I found one day in the storage facility where we used to park the trailer. And it's just elevated enough and flat enough on the top that you can prop up your piece of wood and split it into smaller bits. Now that's also going to help you not just in terms of avoiding buying overpriced kindling, but if the wood is wet and you're able to split it down a little bit, two things. One, it's going to dry a little bit faster, and secondly, when you actually get it into your fire pit, and that's just paper in there, folks, some paper packets which will burn up, it'll burn easier, and you're not going to have clouds of smoke. All too often in these provincial parks you'll see folks flapping some sort of piece of paper or something, desperately trying to get their fire to light, and all they get is smoke. So yeah, this axe, I don't remember how much it was. I think it was like under 50 bucks on sale. If you're in the States, I'm sure it's a lot cheaper. You can get a bigger Fiskars to split bigger pieces, but as long as it's not too wet and doesn't have a lot of knots in it, the Fiskars X11, and I'm not sponsored by them, I bought this myself, will split just about any quarter round that you might be working with. But yeah, definitely have a chopping block. Makes it a lot safer. So you've seen me have plenty of fires on the channel. Okay, they're not gargantuan fires a la Castaway, but they do the trick. Hope this helps. So surprise, surprise, here we are again, the end of another day at the beach. I don't know if you're even going to be able to hear me, but sometimes people say to me, why do you take an RV camping? Well, I've explained this in other videos, but right now it's really windy. It's got to be no more than 15-20 degrees Celsius. It's probably going to go down to 8 degrees tonight. Fabulous day, long day. I'm going to sit by the fire, relax, but I'm tired. It's a little chilly out here. I've been in the water with the kids most of the day. Knowing that I am going to have that warm, cozy bed to go to, nice, clean, comfortable floor to walk across to my private bathroom, and I'm going to get a really good night's sleep and wake up to a freshly brewed pot of coffee and ready, refreshed to start the day again is fabulous. And you know what? If the weather turns bad overnight and it rains, who cares? If it gets cold, who cares? If it gets hot, who cares? Because you got air conditioning, you got a heater, you got everything you need. During the day, you're out doing what you're supposed to be doing with camping, but at night, oh my goodness, the RV makes all the difference, folks. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Another gorgeous evening at the Canadian Campaholic campsite. This is our third and final evening here, and you can tell it's getting towards the end of the trip, the more messy and disorganized the campsite gets, but despite the mess, we're able to pack up pretty quickly and leave no trace.
Something that I wanted to splice into this video, which is why I suddenly appear to have shaved. Something I forgot to mention while we were camping, but one of my random musings I want to include is that this particular season we've done way fewer trips than we used to. We used to typically be weekend warriors, meaning we'd show up on a Friday, stay all day Saturday, and then check out by 2 p.m. on Sunday and go home. And we ended up doing between 9 to 11 trips a season that way. This year, a combination of financial difficulties, less vacation time from my employer, and a few other factors meant that we've just been doing 3-night stays instead. It gets a little bit expensive beyond 3 nights, and then you got to deal with our small camper with emptying the holding tanks. But one of the things that occurred to me is I don't think I could ever really go back to being a weekend warrior. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying if that was my only option and the only thing my schedule would allow, would I rather do weekend warrior camping versus not camping? Well, of course, but given a choice, I would rather do 3 nights or more. I always find that even with the travel trailer, even though we've got a lot of stuff and we're, got a lot of practice at going camping, it is still quite a lot of work to pack your clothes, pack your food, get your kids organized, get everything hooked up, and tow everything to the campsite. Easier than dealing with a tent and all that nonsense, but still quite a bit of work. I also find that when my wife and I get to the campsite, I don't know why, but she always seems to be in a massive hurry to get the trailer leveled and set up and established. And I kind of get it. She wants to get the home, as it were, set up for the next few days, and also she wants to maximize the time that we have for activities. I, on the other hand, prefer a more leisurely pace. I think getting set up is, part of the experience, and I'm not in a massive rush, but inevitably just between, getting up early, being fatigued, getting packed, towing everything to the campsite, and then getting set up, our nerves sometimes get a little bit frayed, and we get a little bit on each other's nerves. But when we wake up the next morning and we have that blissful realization that we have the entire day to enjoy, it feels wonderful. And that is magnified when the next day you have to relax, and the next day, and so on and so forth. It's got to a point, like I said, that I don't know I can ever go back to being just a plain weekend warrior. And some people, they only go once a season and they go for several weeks. Some do weekend trips, a mixture of others. I'm always envious when I walk around the provincial parks and I see the different permits on the post. It's always interesting to see how many days folks are going to be there, and my goodness, some people are there for a long time. Slightly jealous. But anyway, just thought I would share that little bit of a change. It also is a reason why I'm not posting a lot to the channel this season, because we're not really getting out there very often and there isn't really a lot to talk about. So anyway, just thought I would share that.
Well, I think that's going to be a wrap for yet another visit to Point Farms Provincial Park. I realize this video wasn't anything too fancy. Not really a lot new to share on the channel. If you have ideas of video topics that you'd like to see, pop them in the comments below. But I don't know, you don't need to see the minutia of everything we do while we're camping. Today's departure day, so that means, sadly packing up and hooking up in the long tow home. But fingers crossed we may do some late fall / early winter camping. So if we do that, we'll definitely put together a video on the channel. But hope that you are getting out there and enjoying what is left of the 2022 camping season. And yeah, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.